Have you ever stopped to think if your passivity is preventing you from achieving something greater? Many people end up falling into a routine of stagnation, living day after day in automatic mode. Without realizing it, we are merely surviving instead of truly living, stuck in activities that don't challenge us and don't help us grow. Philosopher Richard Taylor, in the late 20th century, highlighted how we settle into superficial and repetitive tasks. Most people spend hours in front of the TV, scrolling through social media, or simply discussing trivial matters of no importance. In the end, we pass another day just like the last, without seeking our true potential. This cycle of passivity may seem harmless, but it is one of the biggest forms of self-sabotage. Procrastination, excuses, and the fear of facing change keep us trapped in this pattern. Let's explore how this passivity affects your life and what you can do to break free from it. In the 19th century, the world underwent significant technological and social changes. It was during this time that the concept of the leisure revolution emerged. The innovations of the Industrial Revolution, such as machines that performed heavy work more quickly and with less human effort, transformed people's lives. Before this, free time was a privilege for a few, and most people spent their days working exhaustively. With the advancement of machines, work hours began to decrease, and people finally gained something they had never had in large quantities: free time. The idea that people could use this time for leisure and personal development was revolutionary. There was hope that this extra time would be spent on activities that would enrich life, such as studying, playing sports, learning new skills, or even exploring creativity. However, in practice, that is not what happened. Instead of using their free time actively, many began to engage in passive activities that require little mental or physical effort. Television, games, and later social media became the primary forms of leisure. Rather than taking advantage of their free time to grow and evolve, people settled into activities that added nothing significant to their lives. What should have been a period of growth and personal enrichment transformed, for many, into a phase of stagnation. This leisure revolution brought the freedom of time, but it also opened the doors to a new form of passivity, where individuals do not challenge themselves, do not seek evolution, and end up getting lost in empty distractions. This was the beginning of a problem we see intensifying even more today, with an excess of superficial stimuli and a lack of motivation for something deeper and more meaningful. At the end of the 20th century, philosopher Richard Taylor made an important observation about human behavior. He noted how people tend to settle into superficial and repetitive tasks. Instead of seeking activities that challenge the mind or bring personal growth, many prefer to follow a routine of passive habits, such as watching TV, scrolling through social media, or spending time on purposeless distractions. Taylor highlighted that this behavior is dangerous because it keeps us trapped in a monotonous and meaningless life. By becoming complacent, we avoid the discomfort of trying something new or putting in the effort to grow. This creates a cycle of stagnation, where each day feels like a repetition of the previous one, without great aspirations or achievements. These superficial tasks give us the false sense of fulfillment, but in reality, they take us away from our true potential. Unfortunately, most people fall into a pattern of passivity and idleness in their daily lives. This happens when we spend a significant portion of our time on activities that require no mental or physical effort. Watching television for hours, spending the day scrolling through social media feeds, playing video games, or even discussing trivial and unimportant topics are examples of how we fill our hours passively. The problem with this pattern is that it brings no personal development or growth. When we follow a routine of idle activities, we are merely surviving, without truly challenging ourselves or seeking something deeper. This prevents us from progressing, learning new things, and developing as individuals. Day after day, we engage in behaviors that add no value to our lives. This passivity, over time, ends up becoming a habit. We get used to a life where effort is avoided, and the mind begins to conform to the minimum. Thus, we enter a cycle of stagnation, where each new day consists of repeating the same tasks, discussing the same trivial topics, and remaining in a state of empty comfort. Even when we feel that something is missing, we tend to fill that void with more passivity, creating a vicious cycle. Moreover, many of these passive activities make us feel like we are doing something, but in reality, we are not. This feeling of false productivity deceives us into thinking we are busy, when in fact we are wasting valuable time that could be used for something more meaningful. This pattern of idle living is common, but extremely detrimental for those seeking growth, personal fulfillment, and above all, purpose. Passivity creates a dangerous cycle of monotony that can take over life without the person realizing it. When we follow a routine of superficial and repetitive activities, we distance ourselves from challenges, new learnings, and opportunities for growth. This lifestyle becomes too comfortable, and comfort often prevents us from seeking something better. We feel stagnant, yet at the same time we do nothing to change this reality. This behavior can be even more destructive when linked to self-sabotage. Procrastination, which arises from the combination of passivity and fear of failure, is one of the most common forms of self-sabotage. How many times do we encounter something we need or want to do, but instead of acting, we end up making excuses? We find ways to delay, occupying our time with distractions, simple activities, or irrelevant tasks. This happens because many times the effort required to face these challenges intimidates us, or because we fear failure. Self-sabotage is essentially the process of creating obstacles for oneself. Even unconsciously, we sabotage our own goals and hinder our progress. This can manifest as chronic procrastination, where we always find a way not to do what is necessary, postponing responsibilities for later, but never really taking action. Passivity fuels this procrastination because it keeps us distracted with activities that give us a sense of busyness, but without the weight of real responsibilities. When we live this way, each day becomes a repetition of the previous one. There is no growth, no personal evolution. In the end, people living in this state of critical procrastination end up feeling frustrated and with a constant sense of wasting time, but they cannot break free from this cycle. It's as if there is an internal resistance to seeking something greater, and this resistance is precisely self-sabotage, which prevents any attempt at change or overcoming. This pattern of behavior affects not only productivity, but also self-esteem. The feeling of failure from not completing important tasks, combined with the repetition of meaningless activities, undermines self-confidence. Over time, this reflects in a life without direction, where the individual simply passes the days without any meaningful aspirations. Thus, opportunities for growth and change go unnoticed, and each person's potential is wasted on irrelevant tasks. If you are tired of repeating the same mistakes and wondering why you can't move forward, my ebook, How to Overcome Self-Sabotage and Never Fall into This Abyss Again, is what you need. In it, you will find practical tools and deep insights to transform the way you think and act. I will show you how to identify and overcome the patterns of self-sabotage that have been preventing you from achieving success and personal fulfillment. No more frustration and stagnation. Link in the pinned comment. Overcoming passivity and self-sabotage requires conscious and daily effort. The first step is to recognize that you are stuck in a routine of superficial tasks and start asking yourself, what do I really want for my life? Set clear goals, even if they are small at first, and work consistently to achieve them. It is important to step out of your comfort zone and seek activities that challenge your mind and body. Reading books, learning a new skill, or even practicing a hobby that brings personal satisfaction are ways to break the cycle of monotony. Another key point is self-analysis. Ask yourself how you use your time and whether your choices are leading you to where you want to be. Change can be difficult, but the reward is a richer and more meaningful life. By taking control of your time and setting aside passivity, you draw closer to your true potential and a life with purpose. Passivity may be comfortable, but it prevents you from reaching your true potential. By recognizing the cycle of stagnation and self-sabotage, it is possible to take control of your life and make more conscious choices. Breaking free from the routine of superficial tasks requires effort, but the reward is a more meaningful life full of purpose. Remember, every active step, no matter how small, brings you closer to a better version of yourself. The power of change is in your hands.